Alright guys, this is clue number 8 for the Are You Game Puzzle Mystery Quilt with cotton cuts. So clue number 8 already, so close to the finish line. So I'm going to go ahead like I do every single month. I'm going to open up my pieces and I'm going to make sure I have the right amount that I need for all of my clues. So this month we should have a total of 6 clues that we're going to create. And you'll see what they'll look like finished here. And so I'm going to go ahead and count all my pieces and then we will get started. Alright guys, so I went ahead and counted all of my pieces. So everything is here, so we're all ready to get started, but I did want to just point out to be very careful not to mix up your 2 sets of triangles because they are made with the same fabric. So they're both from your E fabric, which if you're doing Team Cranium, it's going to be like this darker kind of greenish teal with the nests and the spool of threads. So you have 2 triangles, but they are not the same. So you should have 2 that are E fabric that are this way, and you'll see that the triangle has more of a pointy corner to it opposed to the 4 that have a more rounded edge at the top. So definitely don't get those mixed up. Try to keep your piles just separated for those so you don't get them confused when it comes to the steps that we'll need to use them, and then you shouldn't have any problems. So went ahead and counted everything. We got a lot of pieces this month, but as always, I'm confident they'll go together just as smoothly and just as fast. So we'll go ahead and get started with clue number 1. Okay, so to make section A8, we're going to make 2 of these. So we're going to go ahead and just take our F and E triangles to start, and we can go ahead and put everything else to the side for now. All right, so I have my F and E triangles right here. So go ahead and take one of each, and we're just going to make them into a square. Very, very basic and easy. So go ahead and put them right sides together. We're going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance down each of these, and then when we're all done, we're going to press towards the E fabric. Your square should measure at 4.5 inches by 4.5 inches when we're all done. So let's go ahead and get those sewn. All right, so now that we've sewn our 2 triangles together and we press the fabric towards the E material, we should have 2 4.5 inch squares. Go ahead and place them so your F fabric is in the upper left-hand corner. Go ahead and take your 2 C rectangle pieces, place those to the left of each of those squares. Go ahead and put them right sides together, and we'll do a 1/4 inch seam allowance so your pieces will end up looking like this when they're complete. Then you'll be done with section A8, and you'll have 2 of them, and we can move on to the next step. All right, so now that we've sewn that rectangle to the left side of our square, we should have our seam allowances pressed towards the C fabric, and our pieces should measure 7.25 by 4.5. To complete section A8, we're going to throw a C rectangle at the top. So this is going to be our more fat C rectangle. You see how we actually have 2? We have a skinny one. We're going to take the 2 fat ones, and we're going to sew those to the top of these, and then this will complete section A8. Sorry if I said it was the last step in the last one, mom brain. So go ahead and put those right sides together. So when we're all done and press it up, it's gonna look like this. When we're all done sewing these at a 1/4 inch seam allowance, we're gonna go ahead and press towards the long rectangle, so which is your C fabric. And then that will complete section A8. Get those labels set aside and we can move on to our next clue. So look how cute these little clues turned out. I love them. I love this fabric. Say it every month. So obsessed. All right, so that completed section A8. Sorry I lied to you earlier. So that makes it complete for section A8. Go ahead, label them. You'll have 2 identical pieces here, and the finished clue should measure 7.25 by 6.5, which 7.25, 6.5. Perfect. Okay, so we got our 2 clues for section A8. Okay, and then this time around, we're gonna go ahead and make 4 units that are the same, and these will become sections 8B and 8C, and we should have 4 units that look the same. So we're gonna go ahead and get started on that. So we're gonna go ahead and take our C triangles and our big E triangle that goes on the bottom, and we're going to have 4 of those that all look the same. So we'll just lay them out to see them first before we sew. Just run an iron over a couple of my pieces. I can't believe how fast this puzzle mystery quilt just like went by. Like, I am so excited to get it all together, see everyone's quilts. I definitely want to do another one in the future. I'm already planning it. I have my second little baby coming this summer, but I feel like after that, I'm gonna be ready to do another one of these. Okay, so go ahead and have all 4 of your E triangles facing up, and then we're gonna take our little C triangles. We should have 8 of these, and just place them for now, just to get an idea of what we're looking at here. Get them apart. She counted them all. I really love these colors together. I'm so I feel like this month's clues are a little bit more like, they just got a lot more going on. I'm really liking it. Gives you an idea of kind of what we're looking at for our quilt here. All right, so I got all my pieces together. What we're gonna do first is sew one side together. So you have these nice notches here, which the benefits of having them pre-cut our fabrics for us is they do them perfectly. So it takes the headache out of it. So you have these perfect little notches that should line right up with the edges of your triangles. So it should be a perfect line up just like that. We're going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance right along. And when we open it up, we're going to be, so it says here that they want us to press towards C, and then we'll add the second triangle, press that one towards the C fabric. So it'll look like this. So go ahead, just do one for now, and then we'll press it and come back, and then we'll add our second one, and we'll be done, and we'll just have to do that 4 times. All right, guys, so I pressed towards the C fabric. This is what our first triangle looks like. The seam allowance is going to be very important during this step because you're going to want everything to line up really nicely. So once that is pressed back and out of the way, go ahead and grab your second triangle. Go ahead and put them right sides together just like you just did to the other side. 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then press, and we'll have our 1 of 4 pieces done. All right, so that's all complete. So this is going to probably be your trickiest quilt piece of the entire quilt, because you are going to have to kind of overlap the top of this piece right here. So when you stitch, you're going to want to make sure you start your stitch just before you'll see like this fold right here. You want to start your stitch just there so you're not stitching into the already ironed back piece, or else you're not going to be able to fold it very neatly. So just pay attention to that. Not a big deal if you accidentally stitch on it, just clip your threads and go back and double stitch right there so it stays. But when you have it, it should be a flush top like this, and your total measurement is 6.5 inches by 3.5 inches, which is exact, so that's perfect. So we're gonna go ahead and just repeat that 3 more times with the rest of our pieces, and then we'll move on to step number 2. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish what I have here. All right, guys, so we have 4 completed pieces here, so they all should look like this. So go ahead and just make a little pile of them for now and set them to the side. We're gonna be working with the DNA rectangles. So go ahead and grab those. We're gonna be making 4 identical pieces of this as well. So go ahead and put your D fabric on the top and your A fabric on the bottom. And we'll kind of just place those like we just did before with all of our triangles. D on the top and the bottom. All right, this is going to be very, very easy, guys. So we just have these 4 sets of rectangles. So just go ahead and put them right sides together, do a 1/4 inch seam allowance to connect them, and then we're going to be pressing towards the D fabric when we're done with each piece, and then we can move on to the next step. So go ahead and just get those 4 sewn up. Very quick, very easy. All right, guys, so we should have 4 identical rectangles. They all should measure at 6.5 by 3.5 inches. We'll have the D fabric on the top, A on the bottom, and we should have all of our seam allowances pressed towards the D fabric. So what we're going to do next is we're going to combine these rectangles to the clue that we just made with our triangles. So go ahead and take all 4 pieces and put them on the top like this, top of our little rectangles that we just made. And we're going to go ahead and put those right sides together, and we're going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance along the top, And when we're done with that, we're gonna press towards the bottom fabric. So we went ahead and have all 4. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and do a 1/4 inch seam allowance along these, get them pressed, and then we'll come back and we will do our next step. All right, guys, so we should have 4 identical cute little clues right now. I am so stinking obsessed with these. I just love how these triangles and rectangles came together and the fabric combinations. I am obsessing over here. So each one should measure 6.5 inches square to check all of mine. And then you should have your seam allowances pressed towards your bottom rectangles. So we're gonna go ahead and just take 2 of these and put them to the side, measure those section 8B, and then we should have 2 remaining pieces that we're gonna finish here. So I'm gonna go ahead and just take these 2 up the top, set them to the side, they're done. In our last 2 pieces, you should have 2 little skinny rectangles left. We're just gonna add these little guys to the top of each of these clues, and we are completed with these. These will be section 8C. So go ahead and put these right sides together. We're going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now, the only tricky part is we got some layers going on here, so just take your time when you're doing this, making sure everything's laying nice and flat on the bottom half of your clue so that everything irons nicely when you're done. We're going to press towards the C rectangle when we're all finished, and it should measure at 6.5 inches by 7.25. So I'm going to go ahead and get these sewn, and I'll be back. All right, guys, and our last 2 little clues are all complete. They should measure at 6.5 inches by 7.25, and they will be section 8C. So that means we have these 2 are identical, these 2 are identical, and these 2 are identical. So we should have a total of 6 clues this month for month number 8. So we are all complete. It went by super quick and super smooth as usual. We're almost done, guys, almost done. March, I know, is going to fly by. We'll be on our last clue before we're ready to like put our quilt together, which is just so crazy. So I'm so excited to see everyone's quilts. Comment below what team you're on and how you're doing, how your year is going. If you're excited to finish your quilt, I am so anxious. I know my mom and I have been doing this together since the beginning of the Puzzle Mystery Quilt. So she's doing the skip bow pattern, which is so fun and country, and I love it. So I can't wait to see what her quilt looks like. And we definitely have 2 very different quilts, so that's going to be a lot of fun to get together and see both of them done. So that completes month number 8. Comment below if you guys have any questions, and until then, I will see you for clue number 9. All right, bye.